If you come to fame not understanding who you are, it will define who you are. Oprah Winfrey. Have you ever wanted to become famous, and why? How has this changed over time? Do you know anybody who made big sacrifices in pursuit of fame? And do you feel that society's obsession with celebrity is stronger now than before? In this week's episode, we're going to explore fame and celebrity and how we might let go of our attachment to them in order to become a little lighter, like a bird. Welcome to the Like a Bird podcast. I'm James Chadwick, and throughout 2024, I'll be sharing one essay a week or perhaps an interview, and then I'll be rolling all these ideas up into my second book just in time for Christmas. But why Like a Bird? Well, it all started, as it often seems to do, with a single line that I couldn't get out of my head by the French writer Paul Valéry. One should be light like a bird and not like a feather. That line felt true and important. Yes, we should all want to grow lighter and freer as we grow older, but lighter with control, like a bird in flight and not like a feather buffeted around by the wind. And so this weekly podcast and newsletter are for everyone ready to grow lighter by gently cutting themselves free from the ideas, the habits, and the people that are weighing them down. Got any of those? My guess is yes. So let's dive in to this week's idea, which is also available at jechadwick.com. This week, I would like to share my essay, The Worst Shortcut to Happiness. It's subtitled, Why Those Who Crave Fame the Most Are Often the Least Equipped to Handle It. I once got into an elevator alone with Samuel L. Jackson and made a complete ass of myself. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. I didn't tell him that Shawshank Redemption was one of my top 5 favorite movies, and I didn't try to guess what the L stood for. It was arguably worse. But before I share my shameful moment, I invite you to stop reading and listening and working out what you would have said. Imagine he looked your way and nodded, even smiled a little. What question would you ask one of the most iconic actors in the world? Or perhaps you would have ignored him, respected his privacy, or frozen in fear, not quite 100% sure if he really was who you thought he was. The truth is, we can't easily relate to famous people as people. Tarantino once explained in an interview that after he became famous, people stopped talking to him and just started asking questions. It's one of the many aspects of fame that make it perhaps the worst shortcut to happiness. Put another way, while most of us might claim that we just want to be happy, we often somehow get locked into the pursuit of happiness via fame. In other words, first I will become famous for my special talent, and then that will make me happy. And yet, as we'll explore in this essay, celebrity is a treacherous path to self-fulfillment. The famous forfeit a great deal of freedom. They often feel empty. They lose self-awareness and they attract the wrong people for the wrong reasons. This highly coveted path is often the very worst shortcut to happiness. So let's get back to standing with Mr. Jackson alone in the first-class lounge elevator at LAX. I'd been inexplicably upgraded from business, and he had no doubt been painfully downgraded from private, leaving him vulnerable to risky stalker moments like this. At first, I decided to act cool. No biggie, I'm in LA. But then there was the silence, and then the thought of missing my only opportunity. And I must have reasoned that the safest topic of conversation would be normal, regular family chat. So I just decided to play it cool. "How's your family?" I asked him. Just 3.5 simple words. Pretty common small talk. And yet, in a specific context, like, say, 2 strangers, one possibly a stalker, or perhaps even a kidnapped ransom messenger, stuck together in an elevator, those words seem to hang ominously in the trapped air, far longer than the 10 seconds or so that Samuel L. stood waiting for those doors to open. Ding! He shook his head and bolted. Fuck! At that moment, I resolved to find a fail-safe universal question to ask any celebrity I might meet in the future. And at the end of this essay, I will generously share this secret question. But first, let's try to understand fame. One problem is that I've never craved fame myself and never been able to understand those that do. Like proverbial dogs chasing cars, the fame chasers in society never seem to know what to do when they catch it. Actually, to be more precise and more honest, I do hope to become famous, and specifically for writing at least one meaningful passage that stands the test of time. But my hope is to be long dead before it happens. I dream of living and dying famelessly, becoming a cult writer without ever having to handle a cult following. People who crave fame make enormous life sacrifices to pursue it. They want it so much, they put off getting a career or a partner or kids or financial security. They don't just suffer for their art, they make their friends and family suffer too. Sometimes they're so desperate for fame, even if it's only for Warhol's 15 minutes, they take extreme risks with their lives and their reputations and become infamous instead. Despite knowing that the odds are heavily stacked against them, and that fame is by definition a 1 in a million shot, they still continue to seek it. Perhaps if they step back to consider how celebrities themselves describe the experience of fame, they might think twice. Their marriages are shorter, their children struggle, and they can expect a lifetime of abuse and threats. In their own words, the famous, it seems, are not big fans of it. First, fame restricts freedom. Clive James once observed that a life without fame can be a good life, but fame without a life is no life at all. George Clooney described his disappointment at getting exactly what he always wanted. The truth is, you run as fast as you can towards it because it's everything you want, not just the fame, but what it represents, meaning work, meaning opportunity. And then you get there, and it's shocking how immediately you become enveloped in this world that is incredibly restricting. Fame also clearly leaves celebrities feeling empty. Marilyn Monroe described this poignantly. Fame doesn't fulfill you, it warms you a bit, but that warmth is temporary. Benedict Cumberbatch also captured this emptiness. People see a value in you that you don't see in yourself. Or perhaps even worse, it makes self-awareness more difficult. Ellen Barkin notes that fame will stunt your growth, and the younger it hits, that's when growth stops. And Joni Mitchell called it a series of misunderstandings surrounding a name. Fame also attracts the wrong kind of people. Unless a celebrity understands how to choose a strong entourage, it can be fatal. As Nassim Nicholas Taleb warned, if you're famous, rich, or prominent, avoid people whose friends are all famous, rich, or prominent. Fame often damages talent. Too often the first album is the best, the early novels were the most original. The irrepressibly creative David Bowie managed to overcome this by immersing himself in different art forms, relentlessly reasserting his own identity. But he always feared the corrosive effects of celebrity. Fame can take interesting men and thrust mediocrity upon them, as he put it. In short, just ask the famous. Fame is no easy shortcut to happiness. If you're searching for happiness, perhaps just go straight to happiness. Don't try to find it via fame. The young especially consider fame more noble than money. But why is it noble to pursue something that so often fails to deliver? You want to be rich and anonymous, not poor and famous, as Naval advises. If the choice is fame or money, always choose money. In fact, the world is surprisingly full of happy, wealthy people that we've never heard of, and they prefer it that way. But perhaps, most tragically, it often turns out that the people who crave fame the most are those least equipped to handle it. For anyone who didn't get enough love as a child and was left with a deep hole they needed to fill as an adult, then fame is a dangerous way to seek completion. The type of love we all need is unconditional, but this is not what fans are offering. The adulation of a million strangers with high expectations cannot replace the unquestioning love of a parent, a sibling, a friend, or a lover. So if your inner dog must chase after a car, then perhaps it should choose the happiness car, because the Ferrari of fame doesn't seem worth catching. Now, I promise to share at the end the one secret, universal question that you can ask any famous person in any situation. After the Samuel L. Jackson stalker/ransom elevator debacle, I decided I needed a default question in case my lips started to ill-advisedly move again in such a situation. It took me weeks of trial and error to develop it, but I'm convinced it will now serve me a lifetime. It's essentially idiot-proof, just 6 safe words, only one of them with more than one syllable, and it should not cause your celebrity to reach for their pepper spray. It works universally for popes and porn stars, and might even land you a decent anecdote. So the next time you find yourself alone with your hero, just ask them this question: what are you working on now? It's polite, respectful, and almost entirely risk-free. Whatever they're currently working on is probably what's giving them energy now. But If even this question makes you feel uncomfortable, you can resort to the universal fail-safe conversation starter that works with everyone on the planet. I love your shoes, because, famous or not, everyone likes talking about their shoes. If you enjoyed this essay, please share your own thoughts or experiences. Have you ever wanted to become famous? And why? How has this changed over time? Do you know anybody who made big sacrifices in pursuit of fame? Do you feel that society's obsession with celebrity is stronger now than before? And why? And how? Thank you for listening to Like a Bird. Please subscribe to get one new idea a week. Check out more creative projects at jechadwick.com and share with anyone you think might be trying to grow lighter. And have a great light week.